Good day, everyone. Welcome to Session with Umar. So, today we'll be looking at financial management, and our topic for today is method of evaluating capital budgeting. Method of evaluating capital budgeting, and we have list of objectives we are meant to actualize at the end of this course or this tutorial rather. So, our first objective is to be able to define what capital budgeting is all about. Definition of capital budgeting. Then the second one is to look at the characteristic of capital budgeting and method of evaluating capital budgeting. So in the method of evaluating capital budgeting, we'll be looking at payback period, accounting rate of return, net present value, internal rate of return, and profitability index. So let's go straight to the business of today. So what's the definition of capital budgeting? When you hear the word capital budgeting, what does it mean? So capital budgeting can be defined as the firm's decision to expend its current fund in long-term projects. And then we have examples. It could be land, it could be building, it could be machinery. So the idea is that capital budgeting has to do with long-term projects. So it is the decision of the firm now to expend or spend their current funds on long-term projects. And we have characteristic of capital budgeting. The features or characteristic or what makes up a capital budgeting is that number one, it involves huge investment. So it has to do with huge investment, it has to do with huge capital outlay. Then we have long-term in nature. So it has to do with a very long period. It has to do with projects that has long term projects. It's a long-term project rather. So that's the characteristic of capital budgeting. Then we have method. How do we evaluate capital budgeting? Basically, we have two methods of evaluation of capital budgeting. The first one is a traditional or the non-discount method. Here we have payback period. We have two under the traditional or discount method. The payback period, PBB, and the accounting rate of return, ARR method. So the second is the modern or discount method. Here we'll be applying some formulas. We'll be applying the discounting method, and here is the three method. That's three items you can find under the modern or discount method. The net present value method, that's NPV. The internal rate of return, that's IRR method, and the profitability index, which is our PI. But for today's business, we'll be looking at payback period for today. Payback period. So what's payback period? Payback period is the time frame or length required for an investment to generate cash flows enough to recover its initial investment. I take the definition again. Payback period is the time frame or length required for an investment to generate cash flows enough to recover its initial cash or investment. I hope you understand that definition. So what we want to do is how long does it take us to recover the money we invest on a particular project? So here, payback period is basically concerned about our cash, our return on investment, so to say. It's always more concerned, or is concerned with how we are going to recover the money we use on a particular investment, our funds. When are we going to have our money back? That's what payback period is all about. That's what payback period is all about. We are more concerned about the time frame our money is going to come back to us. So that's what payback period is all about. So let's look at advantages or advantage of payback period. The first advantage is that it is easy to understand and compute. Well, payback period is very easy it's easy to calculate, so you can easily find your way through it. And then the disadvantage here is that it disregards the time value of money. It disregards the time value of money. Like the definition we look initially, we say that payback period has to do with the time a company uses to recover or generate the money spent on a particular project. So this tells us that we are more concerned about when our money will come back to us. That's why it's called payback period. So let's look at the formula. Here is the formula of payback period. Formula for payback period is our initial investment all over annual cash flow. Payback period is equal to initial investment over annual cash flow. Now there is a clause with this formula. The clause is that NB, when annual cash flow are equal. So if you are working with this formula, you must ensure that your annual cash flow are all equal, are all the same. For instance, let's say we are asked to look for the payback period of a project that has to do with 3 years, and the initial investment is let's say 250,000. Then the annual cash flow for that business is 120,000. Now let's punch our calculator and try this formula. Now we say, okay, initial investments in the question that was given is what, 200,000, right? We say 200, let's use 200. So we have 200,000 here. Punch your calculator, divided by our initial our cash flow. So let's say our initial investment for this example we are using for illustration is 200,000. Let's say our annual cash flow is let's say 30,000. Let's say 30,000, and we are calculating for 3 years. So we just say 200,000, which is our initial investment, over 30,000. That's for 3 years. That would be 90,000. We just say 200,000 divided by 90,000 equals to, sorry, let me take it again, 200,000 divided by 90,000, which is our annual cash flow. So when we add everything together, we have 90,000. So we have 2.2. So it means that in 2.2 years time, we are going to recover our we are going to recover our money back. We are going to recover the money we used to invest on such business. So this is what payback is all about. But our emphasis is on the project that has to do with when we are given 2 projects. So we ask which project is visible enough for us to invest in. So our emphasis is on when we are being given a question that has to do with 2 projects. Now look at this question here. As you can see, exercise 1. Say 2 projects A and B with the following relevant information. Now this is the project outlay, project A. We're given 200,000 here, and these are the inflows for 4 years. Year 1, 60. Year 2, 80,000. Year 3, 80,000. Year 4, 100,000. Then let's look at project B. Project B, this is the outlay, 200,000. Then these are the inflow. Year 1, 80,000. Year 2, 80,000. Year 3, 40,000. Year 4, 60,000. And year 5, 60,000. The question is very simple. Required, compute the payback period. So this is what we are required to do. We are asked in this question that we should compute the payback period. Don't forget, now we are not dealing with the formula now. What we are dealing with now is to know, ascertain the time that we are going to recover this 200,000 respectively we are using for this business. When are we going to recover our money back? When are we going to, at what point will our annual inflow is able to recover the money we use to start up this business for each of the project respectively. This is what we want to do here. I hope that is taken. Now let's dive into it. Now this is for project A and this is for project B. Now project A, we have our initial investment or outflow to be 200,000. all right, so please let's take notes. Our outlay or our initial investment usually has to do with our cash outflow or outflow rather. So it is money that is going out. That money is not meant to stay in the organization. Immediately we spend the money on that business, the money is going out of the firm, right? So this is how you do it. This is how you draw your column. You put your time, put your cash flow and your cumulative. Then since the questions have already captured everything you need, then you put your time. Then you start from year 0. Year 0 means that's the year, that's the date or the time you start that business. Now if I say 1, I hope you know that there is something before 1. That thing before 1 is 0. So the movement from 0 to 1 is what we are looking to. So usually you will always have your, whenever you are solving, ensure you start from year 0, because year 0 is the first day you put that money into that business. At that point you have not started generating profit. You have not started generating profit. I hope we are good now. Okay, so this is the solution. Year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Year 4 is the last day that was given to you in the question. Then this is the cash flow. Now in your cash flow in year 0, you will have your 200,000 back, because the first day you start, you've not started generating cash or inflow rather. Money have not started entering into the organization. So you have 200,000, and then please take notes, it must always be in bracket because the money is going out of the firm. So that's 200,000. Then we have our inflow for year 1 down to year 4, 60, 80, 80 and 100,000. Now pay attention to the cumulative. Let's pay attention to the cumulative. So you can take your calculator now. So let me wipe this off. Now in our cumulative, we want to ascertain the year we were able to recover this 200,000 that was used for the business. Now what do? You come to your cumulative. For your cumulative, you still have your 200,000. So we still have our 200,000 still going out. But if you observe, when you get to year 1, we have 140,000. How do we get this 140,000? This is what you do. Just this bracket means subtraction. It means negative. So what do? You put minus 200 minus 200,000. Then this 60, all these figures we have here are all inflows and they are positive. So you say minus 200,000 plus for year 1 plus 60,000. As you can see, plus 60,000 equals to minus 140,000. So it means we are still having negative here. So if you like, you can still put a bracket sign showing is a negative sign, but this is still a negative. So you have not gotten there. You've not gotten there. Let me just put a negative sign here to show that we have not gotten there. Then in year 2, we have an inflow or a profit of 80,000. So what do? We subtract it again from this place. So since here is a positive, we just say plus 80,000 straight away. So we have 60,000. So we still have negative here, negative 60,000. So it means we have still not yet actualized this initial investment. So what do? We go to year 3. Now pay attention. When we get to year 3, our inflow was greater than the balance left here, which is 60,000. So if something like this occur, you will interpolate. So what does interpolation means? Interpolation basically means when you are trying to look for values that is within themselves. You're trying to look for a value or a variable that is inside another variable. That's what interpolation means. So in such scenario, you are going to use the interpolation to be able to derive your figure or your answer rather. Now let's try it again. Now year 3, we have an inflow that was greater than our cumulative, which is 60. What do? But something happened. We're meant to understand that it was between year 2 and year 3 that we start it was between year 2 and year 3 we were able to know that at this point, this is when we're able to start recovering our investment or the money we put into the business. Now you now first of all put year 2. Since our inflow here is greater than this, but at this point it was year 2, you were able to know that you have so year 2 transiting to year 3 was when you have a inflow greater than your balance here. So you put year 2 years plus, then you now take this 60,000 here, this is the 60,000 over year 3, 80,000. So that's what you've done here is you've done interpolation. So you've interpolated, right? Now so PBB now will now be equals to 2 years plus. So let me clean this up. So we have 2 years plus. So you say 60,000 over 80,000. So 60,000 divided by 80,000. So we have 0.75, as you can see in the calculator. Let me bring it up. So you can see here 0.75. Alright, so 0.75. So you see your PBB is equals to 2 years plus 0.75 years. And then when you add 2 to 0.75, you have 2.75 years. Can we try that now? 2 plus 0.75, 2 plus 0.75. So you have your 2.75 years, as you can see. 2.75. That's how we got 2.75. So what this means is that we're able to recover our money in less than 3 years, 2.75 years. Now let's go to project B. Now in project B, we follow the same procedure again. We put all our details that was given to us in the question from year 0 down to year 5. Then our cash flow is always negative for year 0. The money is going down. So here are all our inflows, our profits for the year for project B. Now we still follow the same procedure. The same procedure we follow for project A. Now we have 200,000 for our year 0 for cumulative. So that's a negative. We say minus 200. I hope you can see minus 200,000. Then for year 1 is 80,000, which is positive. You say plus 80,000. So you have negative 120. That's 120. So it means you still have a balance. Then you repeat the same process again for year 2. You say plus 80,000 again. So you have 40,000. So this is still a negative. Still a negative is a balance here. Then when you now get to year 3, you find out that the profit you made for year 3, which is 40,000, was the same thing with the balance you are having, 40,000. Then if you say plus 40,000 now, so you are left with 0. So what does that mean? It means it was at year 3 you were able to generate enough inflow, enough profits to be able to actualize or recover your investments, which is year 3. That's 3 years. Now let me ask you a question now. Between the two projects, project A and project B, which do you think or suggest that the firm should invest its current funds on, based on the definition and everything we've looked at? I give you 1 minute to brood over that. Okay, so the answer for this question will be what? Project A. Why is it project A? So we are going to choose project A. So the company is expected to invest on project A. Why? Because in less than 3 years, in 2.75 years, they were able to recover their investment, the money they spent over the projects. But when you look at project B, we have 3 years. So which one is closer? The one that is closer for the investment to for the company to get its return on investment is the ideal one for the company to invest their funds. So thank you once again for today. So in our next class, we are going to be looking at accounting rates of return. Till we meet again, welcome to session with Omar. Bye bye for now.